welcome. And today I am so excited to have the queen of sexual healing for women, Caroline Muir. She is an author and educator who guides women and couples to greater love and intimacy and more pleasure so that they can have the best relationships of their lives. Caroline is a coach and wisdom keeper in the uniquely feminine body of work globally celebrated as sacred sexual awakening and healing, featuring women retreats, certified spiritual sexual educator training, teacher and practitioner trainings, and she's a co-founder of the Sacred Feminine Mystery School with Amrita Grace. She's also the author of 2 best-selling books, Tantra Goddess, a memoir of sexual awakening, and Tantra, the art of conscious loving. I also want to say that Caroline was such a great inspiration in my own journey. When I read her book, it really turned something within me. It was the foundation of me writing my book later, and I also received such a beautiful endorsement from Caroline, and I am really thrilled to have her with us. She is my queen. So welcome, Caroline.
Bless your heart. Thank you. You're not easy. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Caroline, you've been doing this work for how many years?
Oh, I've lost track, but somewhere close to 40.
Yeah, so you're really pioneering the way for women with such dedication, such care, and such love, and so much wisdom for decades. And you've got so much to share. I am really looking to our session now.
Good, me too. Me too. I'm very proud of where we've all come, how far we've come, and how much is available for women now.
Right, you're absolutely right. I was sharing before that when I started my journey, it was really hard for me to find the right teachers, the right guides. The internet was not as available as it is today, all those connections, and I think that we really have moved forward in so many ways. Do you see that in your work?
Totally. My own work has evolved and refined so much with the presence of other women helping me see my way clear so that every woman is respected and placed on the highest altar of who she is.
Right, and you bring so much love and care and grace and gentleness into your work, and I know that you help thousands of women to reclaim their sovereign sexuality, especially after abuse. Can you talk a little bit about your way and how do you approach that and the tools that you use?
Yes, sure. I had to do my own years of healing, and I saw the mistake. I did this with my husband and myself, Charles Muir, and I saw and I experienced the absolute gorgeousness of women who in their innocence were just looking for healing. And it's so unfortunate that that we just see women for their beauty or their sexuality, their attractiveness. That quality of energy that we call Shakti is very, very seductive. But underneath the Shakti and underneath the beauty is the little girl who was not ready to be seen as a sexual object early in her life. And yet we were seen that way. And so are little girls still today. So it's a big, big issue. And it's a big problem for women the world over. I just had to come in more and more and more into a pure heart and place my touch, with permission on a woman's body anywhere. It could be her knees, her ankles, her breasts, her belly, with her permission, and just not try to do anything except be present with her.
Wow, that sounds so simple and yet so profound.
Well, the profound part is that as human beings, we want to do something. If we're going to place our hand somewhere, like give a massage, we want to give the massage. And so all of the sexual healing and awakening that I observed in my early experiences with it all was very active. The giver was very active. And oftentimes the giver was a male. Men are active and men want results and men move forward. And I continued, though I did many of these sessions with my beloved husband and teacher, I kept drawing back and to a place inside of me that said, no, something's not right about this. It's too masculine. It's too much going after the pleasure for a woman who isn't even ready for it yet. There's something underneath the pleasure. There's that broken little girl and that just shattered, fractured innocence that we must be very patient for her to awaken. And so I pulled away from him and the tantra work because of the masculine nature of it all. And I just have devoted the last, almost 20 years to the awakening feminine and that part of me that is a deeply feminine woman. And what do I like and what do I want as I move into my, each decade, my sexual taste has changed and what I like has changed. And I have been very male-female oriented all my life, but being around women has healed me the deepest. Being naked with women, seeing their vaginas and yonis and bodies and their complaints and their disapproval, and all I could see was their magnificence, and reflecting that back to them.
So beautiful. I've got waves of energy moving through my body as I resonate to everything you say, because that little girl, especially when she sprouts into her puberty, those years, and her sexuality is starting to blossom and starting to really come about, and the world is not, because of so much suppression and mutation, is not ready to welcome her in a safe container to just be and explore. And so many of us little girls have been exposed to sexuality way too soon, before we had the capacity to handle all the emotions that comes with sexuality, and everything that is part of our sexuality was really activated way too soon. And then we keep living with that unbridged gap with so much confusion and so much pain, right?
Exactly. I get tears well up in my eyes so easily when I hear the passion and the truth of the things you just said. We're not ready for it. No, people, certainly the masculine does not yet know that a woman's pleasure and a girl's sexuality is 100% connected to her emotions and to her spirit. And that we do have a sexual soul. And we've tried being sexual for the recreational part of it, and it doesn't resonate. I mean, we can try to be more like guys, I guess, but it doesn't resonate, and it makes us more popular at different times in our life. Is it worth it? I've discovered, no, it is not worth it. And I'm very clear and clean in my in the way I relate to men and women at this time in my life more than ever.
And so I really would like to understand, what is your way of action? I saw some videos that you touch a woman and she can orgasm without you touching her, definitely not on the genitals, but just energetically, and you awakening her energy. And can you talk a little bit more about how you work with women to awaken their sexuality and to heal their wounds?
Yeah, I rarely see a woman in orgasm. I rarely, if ever, have taken a woman to her orgasm, because I honor that that's her private space. And that is not my job in working with women, is to bring them their orgasms. It's their job to heal and find their orgasms in partnerships or by themselves where it's appropriate. It would not be appropriate for me to be the orgasm giver, and it's not the job I want. So orgasms are wonderful when I have mine by myself, but I honor that privacy factor for women. And the whole aspect of being orgasmic in self-pleasuring for women needs to become more of an art form, I think, as it has become that for me. Taking lots of time and creating a ritual above and beyond even what I would create with my partner for lovemaking is really sacred and very special, because that's how I want my sexual energy to fly out into the world. And I want it to bless all the women who are waking up to this reality, and to the teachers that they can talk to and go to, and the videos they can listen to and watch, to begin to get information. Nuna HC, I got an email when I got home from this last training that Amrita and I did of the Sacred Sexual Awakening and Healing Week, with a dozen women now who will all go out as teachers, many of them practitioners. And I came home to an email from a woman in the UK who confessed her horrible life around sex and relationship. And 5 children later, she's feeling very lost and hopeless, and what can I do? And I know that her letter to me is like thousands that are not written, but are in people's hearts. So I just put all my life force energy into the solution, the way in which we can reach those women so that they don't have to, find thousands of dollars to get their healing, where it can be on YouTube, or it can be made available. It should be available everywhere, along with birth control, along with education.
Yes, I so agree. This is really the intention behind creating this summit, where I can bring all those amazing experts together to share their own angles and ways. So there's this one big resource, and also, and women can then decide if they want to work with somebody that they resonated with further. They can approach them and create that movement of women that take responsibility and making the choice to rise beyond the sexual wounds into the world of beauty. So much beauty.
Oh, thank you for your passion.
Yeah. And so what can you say about creating that ritual for the self-pleasure art?
I have found that when I'm on my yoga mat and I'm stretching and I'm doing my yoga and I'm meditating, totally in the presence of the divine, that is my favorite time to then recline on my yoga mat or sit up and howl my pleasure out into the yoni-verse. And I rarely have those experiences in bed. I really like to be on my yoga mat, because for 45 years, my yoga mat has represented where I connect with God, Goddess, the deepest. Yes, many times in bed, but not as much as on the yoga mat. So I have my most fantastic self-pleasuring and with the prayers and the offerings to the divine of the Shakti that I carry, and the sacredness of it, and the gratitude that I that I want to give to the men and women who have shown up in my heart and in my body to bring me to this place. That wonderful husband I spoke of wanted me to have healing from as many men and women as I could, who I would say yes to. And so there was infinite space for me to receive the healing gifts of many people. And there are many out there with healing gifts. And it was thrilling for me to be given to by these people who still send me birthday cards and letters 30 years later. So it doesn't have to be one beloved husband forever. It can be a handful, two handfuls of divine beings who carry healing in their soul and in their hands, can bring this to women, and they want to. So my call to women is to trust the ones you can trust. Tune into the part of you that knows who you can trust and why they are there. And maybe another woman that tells you, I was with that woman or man for their healing work and it's impeccable. Go there. Give them a chance to give you what they are carrying, because there are many now. There weren't many 30 or 40 years ago, but there are many now.
So can you talk a little bit more about the, say, what do you look, what do you call in from somebody like that, and where is the boundaries for your well-being, or is it something you need to be aware of cultivating?
Okay, good question. Good question. I always would begin to trust someone who was experienced in body work, because without the rest of the body being brought into a place of comfort zone, it's impossible to go towards the genitals to make them more well if the rest of you is all tense and afraid. So I would and have many times said, please share your body work with me. A number of sessions before we would go further, and we would talk about your intention, and we would talk about what my fears are, and everything would be out in the open. My husband at the time would know them, and there'd be a beautiful ritual that they would create in honor of my healing, because some of these were wonderful men and women also who we brought in to do healing work with. They then wanted to return the healing work to me, and I needed it. I needed it because it took many years to, first of all, remember the childhood stuff, and then for 30 years, maybe it was 30 years after my hysterectomy in my 20s, where my ovaries were removed and I had no more periods. So for 25 or 30 years, I didn't even know if I really was authentically a woman still. Without the flow, without orgasms, and without babies, where did I fit in the whole gender? There weren't a lot of genders to choose from back in my day. There are more of them. I didn't want to be a woman or a woman. I knew I wasn't a man. So it took other women bringing their moon cycle and blood to my awareness, even the scent was something that I found recoiled me because I hadn't had my own for so long, and I had never felt the grief. I had never sobbed that out, like, oh well, who cares, who needs another period anyway, was kind of how I went back out into life after the surgeries that I had. And it took a long time for the right people to come forward that knew what I needed.
It's quite something to have healing experienced through the sisterhood, right? Through the fellow sisters, and see that reflection, and see that that we all actually we all in it together. We all have the same struggles, the same yearnings, the same wishes, the same challenges. We really all in it together. And that support is just what takes us to the next level, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's the sisterhood. The sisterhood is the big medicine, right? Let me just make sure my phone is off. Yes, it's off. Okay. Carry on.
And I know you did a lot of work with the sacred spot. Some people call it the G spot. Can you talk a little bit more about that very sacred space?
I certainly can, because that really was the focal point of sexual healing work when I became involved in tantra. And I became involved in tantra because the very idea, one evening in a yoga class, sitting on my yoga mat, my little sacred mat, hearing a yoga teacher speak about tantra yoga, and that this was a yoga taught in ancient India. Like every part of me lit up like a Christmas tree, and I said, there was a yoga for sex? I mean, I want that yoga, and I want to meet that teacher, and I want it. And from that age of probably around 40, 42, that was my path. It was Tantra yoga and sexual healing. And the sacred spot, unfortunately, the G spot is its modern name, but I love the names that have history, or in this case, herstory. And the sacred spot is one of them, as are the names for the genitals and some of the beautiful languaging that comes from Tantra, like yoni, like lingam. I know when I first started hearing the word lingam, I couldn't say it. It sounded like Chinese chewing gum. But the meaning of the word is so much the quality of energy I want to meet in sexual loving with a man. And a man that carries that consciousness in his genitals is a man worth knowing.
Right. The wand of light, right?
Yes, the wand of light, exactly. Back to our sacred spot. And the whole term yoni, the word yoni meaning sacred space. And that's when I started to really be able to own one. I didn't know what to call it down there because I didn't like any of the regular sex words, So a yoni became my friend, and a sacred spot became a numb area inside of me that, with daily loving touch from my partner at the time, I began to wake up vaginally. Clitorally has never been a problem, but vaginally was a big problem. And I would say it took months. It took 6-8 months before I could, I'm kind of feeling something now. Now I'm feeling something even more. And it was a slow unraveling of emotions, of tears, of, being invited to have feelings during what appeared to be a sexual exploration. But I was constantly reassured that this was about me, and it was about my whatever I wanted. And I would say, well, I just want to cry, and I can't get sexual right now, and it would be okay. So being with a man like that brought tremendous healing to me. And anyway, my sacred spot began to wake up, and she began to be as potent and powerful as my clitoris, which was a childhood friend. And even the name of clitoris has become my pearl. And I love calling her my pearl. It's so much more empowering. Really, the power of the spoken word has greatly changed my relationship to my body and to other people's bodies. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah. So I agree. It's quite a disgrace that we don't have a proper English word that can name our most sacred space and the gateway of life-giving universe. I mean, all life comes from there, and there's no name for it. It's really something.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe, but here we are. And I have done, I don't know, hundreds of interviews for so many well-meaning men and women putting on summits wanting to bring the information about sacred sexuality, sexual healing, some tantra. So, it's wonderful that we have so many people that have come before us because they have gathered the population who now will want your summit. And I know they will want to meet you. I kind of got off the subject of our sacred spots, but let's just say I was a cheerleader back in high school, and I have a lot of cheerleading energy for our sacred spot and the tremendous capacity that little place inside of our body has to remember the things we have wanted to forget and give us the ability to cry or scream or yell or emote and remember and move on. And then, woof, 1 second later, there's pleasure there too. I have a lot of respect for her inside there, inside of me.
So it's actually a spot that holds so much emotional baggage, literally in the DNA, in the cells of the body. And when it starts to when you start bringing life into it and with gentle touch and that works so well. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about the techniques
Sure.
use. But I really liked that you said that from numbness you started to feel the sensations, and it's really that journey of desensitizing those parts that have been so closed and so stagnant in their energy and just opened it up. And that opening is such a tremendous wave of being able to awaken.
Yes. I think the most important thing to remember for people listening is that the giver of the sacred spot massage, assuming it's another or a partner, really needs to be clean in their energy. If they're taking something for themselves, like I'll get you aroused so then I can have sex with you. Every woman knows that she can just sense that. She just knows it. And sometimes she's happy with that. But if she's invited to do some healing, she's not necessarily going to be happy with, he's in a hurry to get to the sex part, because that may be more for him. It may be in some cases, not all, certainly. Because once a woman is aroused, a man inside of her can feel quite wonderful, and you want more. You don't want him to be in a hurry to be finished. When you're alive, and a woman has the capacity to run countless long periods of time of orgasmic energy. I don't even want to call them orgasms because we all have a picture of what our orgasm feels like. And the sacred spot orgasms are more like waves breaking on the shore and then retreating and then, where did it go? And then it comes back again, kind of breaking bigger than ever. But it takes the giver touch who is really in the flow of your energy. And it can 100% assure you of your safety, that you're not going to drown in the huge energy, because it can be frightening. And that if anything comes up that feels scary emotionally, or if any feelings come up inside your body, in your yoni itself, feelings like pain or hurt or broken glass, even I've had women say, and I've said the same thing, I feel like you're breaking glass in there with a pinky finger. Impossible to be breaking any glass. So the pain was in me. It's not that someone who meant well in their healing massage was giving me any pain. The pain was mine. And so I learned to express that and cry and yell no and scream and carry on, like we should have been able to at one time when we were little, but we couldn't. So we can be really grown up and even old and still access that little girl that just is just not enjoying it right now. Doesn't feel good. So I just wanted to speak for the tremendous pleasure and orgasmic pleasure, as well as the interference because of the layering in the tissue, in the sacred spot region, in the tissue itself, and also because of the nerve connections to the brain. So in my tantra study of having neurologists, MD, PhDs, sitting at the person's head while we were doing sacred work on a woman, actually telling us where this energy was going in the brain. Okay, so the energy from the vagina goes up into the brain, into the reticular formation, which is the back center of the brain, and picks up data. And sometimes that data is a moment from childhood or a moment from the past or a fleeting moment in your history that left an impression. It was anything other than pleasant. So the messages come back down and suddenly what was feeling good doesn't feel good anymore. That next stroke of the finger or the next stroke of the lingam. Because the lingam can massage the sacred spot as well in the right position.
And of course, we all grew up in a society that didn't place much value on pleasure. And so we all somehow pleasure deprived. And for many of us, there is a very deep wiring of pleasure and shame together. So if I feel pleasure, especially if I was abused and felt pleasure, then something must be really wrong with me. And those layers upon layers are all, stuck in the body, right?
Mm-hmm. I think every woman has a place in her psyche where, okay, that's enough for me. And at that point, then we just turn sex into, okay, I'll give to you now. And there's very few men that would say, oh, no, I don't want you to give to me. Because they love pleasure. They can own their pleasure more easily, unless they've had a serious abusive background. But I would say by and large, men are healthier sexually. They're less educated and have a long way to go to really get the emotional connection for women. But I think they have it too. I've known some extraordinary men who are in balance with their masculine and feminine side, inside, outside.
Yeah.
Which is a joy to be around.
Yeah, definitely. The conscious men movement is growing. So
it's growing very much so. As the women get stronger and as we communicate more clearly and invite them to partake in this journey with us.
And of course, because sexuality is healing energy on its own, then by doing the work on ourselves and inviting our partner to share that work with us and within us, it also creates a transmission of the healing and can really benefit both, even just one doing the work, right?
Yes. Well, I grew to know that pleasure is healing also.
Yes.
All this healing doesn't have to hurt.
Exactly. This is it almost feels like, we need to dive into the pain because it's there. So the pain that sits in the body, it takes, first of all, it takes energy from the body to keep it at bay. So it really consumes our vital energy. And it seeks healing. It wants to come out. So it keeps knocking on the door for attention, and it keeps crying for resolution. And so we can't just numb it or suppress it. It will be there until it gets resolved. So the journey is really to go through that pain, but knowing that on the other side of that pain, there is huge pleasure and there is also power and purpose, right?
I like the power and purpose part. because what comes after pleasure? Uh, well, it has great power, so what is its purpose?
Exactly.
And so many women, in our maturing, I think we begin to ask that question more and more.
I think that women that connect to their power, they have such an innate yearning to serve humanity, to spread the light, to spread that goodness further and touch more lives. So I think it's a natural way of connecting to the power and to the heart, wanting to share it further.
Yes, exactly. And all the women listening and all the women out there have the same power I have and have the same power you have. If they claim it and use it to help other women, because there's a lot of us who haven't been helped yet. A lot of us, come hold my hand and take me to the healing well. And every woman has that healing well in her own self. So I can only, in the biggest of ways, plead to the women who are coming through their big pleasure years to let that power guide you to how you can help more people have that fulfillment. Because God didn't give us these bodies just to work hard. And God didn't give us these bodies just to bear children. So that must be a wonderful thing. I have never had the pleasure or opportunity to bear children. But the women who have gotten to do that are quite thrilled with the experience.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
I have 3 children that I have birthed at home. And the birthing process was really a meeting with the angels. There is no other words that can describe the power that I've accessed through that birthing, the power of Mother Earth, the power of life force energy that moved through me, that knew how to operate my body and exactly, it's all the wisdom of the body that takes over, and really the process of birth, it's big surrender to that urge, to that flow of life, and it's so empowering, and it's something that I'm also really passionate about, because it's been also taken away from women in a medical patriarchy world, where women started to giving birth in hospital in certain positions that were more suitable for the male doctors to operate, and so many operations. And I also want to, at the same time, say that if you had a trauma, birthing, know that it can be healed. So it's definitely a process we can work with. We are so we are so whole and perfect no matter what happened to us. So I want you to feel empowered about your birth, however it happened for you also.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. This is...
and to add to that, we had over the years of teaching seminars, we had, I would say, thousands of couples who were pregnant. And the question would come up, well, can we still do the sacred spot massage during her pregnancy? And without a doubt, the women that reported back after their children were born said that the sacred spot massage technique and the intimacy, we know, paved the way for this healthy child to come through.
Oh, yes.
You know, who would have known if we didn't talk about it? And I think that's very interesting to the pre-birth, when we have to be careful, various things, but there's some things we can still do and probably should do.
I felt very aroused during my pregnancies. I felt that my yoni was quite swollen most of the time, especially towards the end part of it. And I've been advised by my midwife for my partner to massage the yoni so it can stretch easily and not tear. And I never tore. So, yeah.
That's That's important for women to know.
Yes, it is. Right.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh. What else can we help them? What else can we share with our ladies or couples or men that are listening to the summit? I'm so honored to be on this with you.
Oh, I'm so honored to have you, Caroline. You're really a pioneer in your way, and I know that you really set up new ways to help women and guide women. And can you talk a little bit about your school and what you're doing there?
I'd love to. I've been very, very fortunate in these last 12 years since the Divine Feminine Institute, where Amrita Grace came to work for us there in Maui. And then, so 5 or 6 years later, we closed the Institute for a variety of reasons. I think it needed to reopen in a different way. And I just was on my own doing private work and online for a while. And then Amrita came to me with the question, as I was hitting 70 and 72, and saying to her, I don't know how long I want to try and have an online business, or how long I work this hard. And she said, had you considered ever having a legacy holder to take your work forward? I said, no, I've never thought of such a thing, but I love the idea. And she said she really got a very strong, clear download that she was the one to do that. And I knew that she was. It just wasn't even a question. So there's been this passing of the lineage that I have carried to Amrita, and we have co-founded the Sacred Feminine Mystery School, though it's her business, and she is, with all her marketing degrees and skills, really developing a professional model for certification and licensing and all of the things that would come after my phase in this work. And this last week long, where 12 women came from different parts of the country for the week to begin their 6 months training. And much of the training is online. They're in person the first week and the last week of the training, but their 6 months in between is all online. And the content is fantastic. The content in every way gives a woman the bigger picture of who we are and who we need to read and what we need to know, so that we can really step into this big, it's like becoming midwife of the 21st or the 22nd century. But midwife is a good description. Midwives are trained, and they're there to deliver life. So a midwife from the Sacred Feminine School is there to help a woman deliver her wholeness, the rest of her that has been unclaimed or afraid. And it really is woman to woman. It has to be woman to woman. I don't think it can be any other way. And so that now, I took every class. I hadn't been in the classes yet. I had only read the online work that she has created over this last year, that are many of the books I've also read, but never would think to put them in a scholastic binder, if you know what I mean, either online or in person. And it's spectacular. I'm very impressed, and I'm so proud to have my name on the heading of the Sacred Feminine Mystery School. I will always be available on calls throughout the year, throughout the 6 months trainings, coaching calls. From my history with it all, I have information I can bring them. But it's very well organized, and it's very well put together, and every education has a cost, and she's placed it at a cost that I think is very fair. So I'm excited. And now I can start to relax more and really let go I can let go and not feel like I'm letting God down if I don't keep teaching and working it and putting myself out there all the time. Because I want to enjoy these years more than ever.
Right. And you moved to Panama, right?
I moved out of the US a year and 3 months ago to this little country called Panama. Not so well known, but very sweet country. And Panama City is a very sophisticated place. And I wanted to live where I could have anything delivered, or I could take an Uber anywhere I needed to go, and everything of good quality was close by.
Yeah, so you're really representing the crown, and this is something that is very much also missing in our society, that wise woman that has a lifetime of experience and sharing, and we've been kind of throwing her to the
Yeah.
to the ethic, and don't want to look at her, and in our society we appreciate more perhaps the eternal beauty of the median woman, the young woman. And actually there is so much beauty in the crown, and I really want to honor you for that. And I want to ask you, how do you see your crownhood coming into fruition in this time of your life?
I love her. I really love her. And I can take joy now in the parts of my body and or face or hair that I've worked so hard to maintain, the best that I could be. And now it's like it's out of my control. Everything is just moving towards this rounder person, woman that I realize I've worked so hard all my life to not get like this, to not get a big waistline, and to not have sagging breasts, and to have my face, be as youthful as possible. But the beauty is, it just doesn't matter. And one of the ways it doesn't matter has been coming to Latin America, and the people here really, really honor the elderly, if you will. They love their families and their grandmas and their mamas, and they see me as an American who is older, but they love that I walk with a lot of sass, and I swing my hips, and I swing my hair around when I still have of it, and their hearts go out to me.
Yes, I think you're absolutely glorious and beautiful and irradiating, your beauty from within, which is really what it's all about. I mean, the outside is it's for a while. I mean, you can enjoy it while it lasts, but the real beauty comes from within, and that comes with the work that you do, and comes from your heart, feeling your love that you radiate outward.
Yes. And it's wonderful to live where people understand what that is, and the ones that speak enough English can say it right back to me. Oh, your light shines so bright, Carolina. And I go, oh, yes, thank you. And that's the compliment that I treasure most of all.
Right. Right. Caroline, we are hitting.
Are we running out of time? Yeah.
Conversation, and I know that you've got a very beautiful gift to share with the audience. Do you want to tell us what it is?
Yeah, Amrita made sure I knew, and now where did I write that down? But it's the 3 videos that are on my website, the Women of Confidence, and it's true, this whole healing and awakening really gives us a lot more confidence. So I speak eloquently about that in those 3 videos, and I think they're on my website.
Right, yeah, you will be able to get it from the link below. And any last takeaways before we conclude this beautiful conversation?
Take your fear by the hand and keep moving up the mountain, even though it's getting chillier at the top and a little more ragged. You don't want to go backwards. You want to keep going forwards, because the view is so worth it, and the clarity is worth the climb.
Awesome.
And love is the key. Love and tenderness and touch. Love is the answer. That's my nutshell message to anyone listening, and to you, my friend. Much love to you. The best of success.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And if a woman wants to work with you personally or on your online school, how can they get hold of you?
Caroline at carolinemuir.com. I'm so easy to get a hold of, and I respond to everyone. And I know on my website is the info at Divine Feminine and the way to send me a request for a discovery call to find out what your next steps would be. I really do answer everyone. That's what I do when I'm doing my computer time, is reach out to all of you who reach out to me.
Right. I can feel your dedication and your passion and your uttermost love that you're sharing. So thank you so much, and blessings to you.
I am blessed, and to you. Bye.
Bye-bye, and everyone, ciao, until the next time.